but you do know that, you yourself know that there is either a surplus or deficit showing at this point in the reports.
Oh, I would not even begin to make that, no, I would not make that judgment at this point. I would not do that at this point. And even if Joyce would, I would highly caution her not to. So I would highly caution everybody not to make any assumption at this point, right now, based on expenditure numbers, because we still have to do a reconciliation of the capital fund. And I may sound like I'm being difficult, but I'm not going to budge on that number. I would not even begin to give you a number or suggest that anybody were to say any numbers like that, because it could come very much back at you at a later date. I have told you that I am working towards the middle of February, and at that point, I was, it was rather chuckled at, and it may be, but I'm still hoping to have good numbers for you at the middle of February. That's my goal to you, and that's my number to you.
I guess the only issue I've got is that it'd be nice to have some idea and a confidence level associated with that idea, because at this point in time, we should start to be able to develop, 80% confident that we've got a $300,000 surplus. And let me tell you why, Janet, because by the time you have the numbers for 07 in mid-February, we will be beyond the public hearing for the budget for 08. And the downside of that to me is that we're continuing to sort of fly blind and sort of hope for the best, and that sort of thing. And I'm not. You have had a tremendous amount of work to overcome to get to where you are, but by the same token, I would just like to see some transparency as to where we think we are, and then those components that could affect that. And given that the capital projects is a large element of that, I understand that. But basically, we don't have 06 number finalized, so we don't know coming into 07 if we're going to be greater than, we thought we might be greater than $186,000 deficit, which I think was what Jim had discussed at the point. He wasn't certain of that. So 07, we had a lot of catch-up to do, and I'm sure you've gotten things straightened out a great deal, but still, we're going to have some expense number. We know what the budget number was for the year, and so therefore we should have some idea as to, thumbnail as to where we are.
Well, let me ask you, let me make a comment too, and then I'll ask you a question. This week, I believe we put in $400,000 for 2007 expenses, correct? Mm-hmm. We're still putting money into 2007 expenses. So how can we make a judgment on 2007 expenses when we're still incurring 2007 expenses at this point? That's number one, okay? The other thing is, I can't give you what I can't give you, and I'm not going to, I don't have a way to give you what you're looking for right now. You have to realize when I came in May, the books at that point were quite out of line. At that point, I went into a 2006 audit that, when we went into the 2006 audit, the information was not prepared for 2006. So we had to go backwards for 2006, starting in May of 2007. So at that point, we lost approximately a month and a half of 2007 going into 2006. We still had 5 months of 2007 to try and correct, and then another month and a half. You basically had maybe 5 months of working, or going on to 6 months of working on 2007 to complete a year's work that I am not willing to base my name on at this point right here. And that's my final, that's my position on it.
Thank you for coming and giving us an update. The unfortunate part is you have worked very, very hard and tirelessly, and thank you for doing that. But for the town, from the ability to make wise decisions, we are sort of encumbered by the fact that we don't have good financial data to make decisions on it. And that's what really troubles me the most, and that's not necessarily a you or anyone else. That's just the way it is right now. So we will not have our financial information until after the public hearing is done.
We'll have 2007 in the budget form. We'll have the 2007 revenue estimates and the 2007 actuals. Okay, that you will have before your public hearing. and because we'll also need that for the annual report. And we will have, as I said, we're still dumping expenditures into 2007, okay? We still need to work on the capital projects. So the budget committee, and we have to do our 2008 revenue estimates. I think maybe what we need to look at is, you know, how did our revenue estimates come in? How did our actuals come in 2007? Because we're still getting a handle on that. Like, I don't know if the town, if you ever did recognize the money from the state for the Silver Lake Road project. I don't know if you recognize that. Is that a receivable, or has the town not recognized that, so that when we do get that reimbursement, oh, that's real money that we have that we can apply against this current year tax rate instead of applying against a 2007 receivable? So we'll get a handle on the revenue estimates, and I guess I wouldn't worry so much about how much surplus, because we know we've underexpended our 2007
we know
budget.
that.
Okay,
Right,
we know
but-
that. So I think what we need to focus on is good numbers for 2008 revenues, okay? Because that's what's going to decide what your taxes are. And you're going to get your good numbers from 2008 revenues by looking at your history in 2007, okay? And base your budget, base your needs on what your revenue estimates are.
Well,
And
what
if
I-
there is
what-
surplus, that's great, because that will bring us to where
Well, let's
we need
face
to
it,
be.
it's not the surplus I'm after, it's getting financial information and
Yes.
seeing the reports. We are seeing budget reports, we're not seeing anything tangible. And that's what we need to be seeing, because that's from what we're gonna make the decisions. It wasn't until just, you know, within weeks from now that we got a cash flow projection. And so it's very difficult from my vantage point to see how we can be making far-reaching decisions on big things for the town and not be able to have any backup to be able to really talk with the residents about it town meeting. So if we have those things in time to make good decisions, that's great. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate it.
Okay,